What's up? What's up? What's going on, everyone? So it's another week of the NFL matchup madness. As you can tell, I'm still struggling slightly from my overusage of my voice on Sunday in Philadelphia at the Eagles game. I was a little excited. May have been hoarse yesterday, but hey, it happens. So I got a little bit of my voice back. So we're gonna be good tonight. But I'm joined as always right below by my guy,
What
Mr.
up? What up? It's your boy said, you know what I'm saying? Broncos finally got a win, so I got to represent for them. They're not playing this week, so I still got my voice. I wasn't yelling as loud, but I got a little bit of yells in Sunday morning. So let's go.
Hey, big ups to the Broncos for the win for sure, man. I mean, nothing to knock for that one. They did what
Hey,
they were supposed to do,
yep,
and that's all you can do. So
yeah.
we're gonna hop into this first matchup, man. Coming off a major victory, we now have the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Houston Texans Thursday night football.
Oh man.
So said, man, what's your thoughts on the game, man? Talk to me.
I mean, from what we've been seeing, I feel like this should be a slam dunk for the Eagles for sure. But I mean, it's NFL, so anything could happen. But I don't know, man. Eagles have just been rolling, and not just this season. Like they ended their season last year 9-8, so they're carrying us over when they clicked last season. And I think like they're just on right now, and unfortunately, like Houston's on the other side of that bus. They're just kind of at what was I would say their lowest point. So, yeah, man, I don't see this as a game at all. It's just kind of a practice for the Eagles. So hopefully they come out and do what they're supposed to do and do get that dub.
Yeah. For me, man, I'm gonna keep it light. We got several other matchups to talk about. I think Philadelphia is playing really well right now. They seem to be clicking
Hmm.
offensively. Defensively, still a little questionable about special teams. So we got our first comment here. Since this game isn't on this week, I'm gonna go ahead and say real quick, Niners look good this week. That CMC definitely looks like a big pickup. So big ups to y'all for that pickup.
Hmm.
But Philadelphia is undefeated, 7-0. The quest is for 8-0. The quest is honestly to get another one of these, right?
I
Because
was
if
gonna
we
say,
win,
yeah.
I will buy them. That's for sure. So, I think for Philadelphia, it's just not no letdown. We got the Commanders after this game, so this is what's considered a trap game for me, because there were people saying before like, oh, it's a trap game against the Steelers, and I'm like, well, how is it a trap game if the next game is against the Houston Texans? I don't
Well,
think anyone's. Oh, go ahead, man.
let me ask you this though. Do you think it would be better for them to lose a game earlier and not have to deal with the stress of trying to remain undefeated, or how do you, like, as a fan, like, how do you feel about it if they do lose this game?
Well, I want all the smoke, so I would like the pressure as long as possible, because it's the same thing that happens when you get in the playoffs. You have to go undefeated. You lose in the playoffs, it doesn't matter how many games you won in the regular season. It doesn't matter how many yards you got. It doesn't matter what your
Hmm.
ranking was. So I'll continue. Win as many games as you can. There's losable games coming up. We still have four divisional games. We still have the Titans. And that's off the top of my head. I remember those games. There's a couple more games as well. We still have the Packers, and you can always guarantee that Aaron Rodgers will pull something out of his hat at some point. There's still some guys out there that are free agents, right? Because everybody's, all Green Bay didn't make a trade. There's still some guys that are free agents that can be signed, right? There's guys that may be waived that they could also go and pick up. That could help. So I don't feel like we're in a situation where, you know, people look at the schedule and they say, oh, the Eagles have an easy schedule. They should be 17-0 and blase this and blase that. Not buying into that. But I say you go out every week like you're 0-0, and you're trying to lead the game 1-0, and that's how you approach it. All right, and we got this comment from Snowman in the morning as well. Eagles, 49ers, NFC Championship.
I can see that.
I
They're the
can see
top
it.
two teams in the NFC right now.
Yeah. But like I said, we're still only 8 weeks into the season. There's still 9 more weeks of games to be played. So we'll find out a lot about a lot of teams as we continue to get through the season. For
That turning
Houston,
point.
this is their Super Bowl. For real. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I know we have Houston guys not here tonight, but this is their Super Bowl. This is their chance to make a statement for the season. So I expect them to come out and drop every haymaker they can and do everything they can to try to win this game.
I hear you there. I hope so. I mean, it's the NFL. They get paid to do that, so that should be the goal
Right.
anyway.
Absolutely always should be the goal. Like I said, it may not always be the goal, but it should be the goal. So, I mean, that's the thing for me. You have to come out every week. You have to perform because you never know. And I mean, never know who's out there ready to take you out. And you have to be ready for it.
Yep.
You know, you have to bring the smoke because the smoke is always there for you. And that's completely, how I look at it for that.
Yep.
But yeah, man, did you have any other thoughts on this Thursday night game? It should be a better Thursday night game than some of the other ones we've seen. Because a lot of people say, like, the Eagles are going to blow them out and they're going to win by 30 or blase this or blase that. I mean, I don't have that same thought process. I
Uh,
feel like winning is winning. But, I mean, we haven't seen, besides this last game, we haven't seen a lot of Philadelphia Eagle blowouts. So I don't know where a lot of people get this thought that everybody's just going to, we're just going to blow every team out. I just don't quite see that.
well, I mean, CBS got them winning 31-20. I can see that.
That's a more reasonable expectation because, like I said, Houston has nothing to lose in this game.
Yeah,
Nothing at
man.
all, man.
That's true, but at the same time, I feel like these are the games that teams like the Eagle, if they're trying to beat that team, these are the games they got to win.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you don't want to lose games that you should lose. But if we're being honest, if we look at every team every year, someone's always losing games they shouldn't lose. That's kind of how this ends up playing out.
That's true.
But right now, 7-0, we riding the wave. Continue to ride the wave. If you do get a loss, don't let that affect what you're doing. Keep on moving, and let's get it done.
Yep.
And that's pretty much, why I feel like things need to go. Obviously, I believe that the Eagles are going to win the game without a problem. But at the same time, I'd never count another team out because the one thing that we all have to realize is we are all professional organizations, right? So being that we're all professional organizations, we're all here to do the same thing, that's win. So they're not coming out and saying, "Oh, it's the Eagles. Oh no, let us lay down. I don't even know why we showed up this week." That's not what's going to happen any week
Yeah.
in the NFL. So we
It
just
is
need to do what
Thursday
we need to
night.
do. Yeah.
Thursday night game's been low scoring, so we'll see if this changes that.
Like I said, we go out there and we win by 30 points. Hey, that's great. But I'm not going to sit here and reasonably expect it to happen. I'm not doing that. Just because I understand that, it's two teams. They're actually playing a game. We got to go out and we got to beat the other team. And that's, just what has to happen. Once that happens, cool. But it's not a foregone conclusion. It's not a given. It's not just going to happen because we show up. And that's 100% the truth.
Yep. Believe that. Believe
Right.
that. Yeah,
All
man.
right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're just holding on for a minute, waiting for one of the reps to hop in. But while we are doing that, I just want to shout out one of the sponsors for the show, which is going to be, of course, Fanatics. So if you look in the description, you'll see the information. You can actually go to Fanatics if you're purchasing items for NFL, MLB, hockey, whatever sport you like, or whatever group of sports. Use a code, doesn't change your cost. You still get whatever other great discounts are there, but it allows a small kickback to go towards keeping the lights on around here, keeping these lovely graphics coming, and keeping everything moving for the show. So definitely appreciate those of you who have the opportunity and are able, to use said code. If not, hey, it's all good, understandable, but got to put it out there or no one will know. All right, so guys, we're gonna go ahead and set up this next episode here. We should have a second rep here in a few moments, but while we're waiting on that, I'm gonna go ahead and get things moving because that's what we do around here.
Yes,
We get things
sir.
moving.
And y'all
You
like
know,
and subscribe.
definitely make sure you like and subscribe. Everyone who's on, don't forget afterwards. Make sure you hop in. Let everybody know where they can find you. All right, so we'll go ahead and get this started here. Like I said, guys, I know my voice is nowhere near what it normally is, but hey, it was a wild weekend.
What's the next one? Eagles
Chris,
or
what is going on, bro?
Good evening. Good evening.
what it?
How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Voice a little
Amazing.
weak still, but feeling pretty good, man. Feeling pretty good.
Hey man, I completely understand that. Out here in Vegas, it's been a wild weekend. You dropped 24 points to the Saints now. The city goes crazy. But
Yeah, that's that's tough. So yeah,
yeah,
Chris, man, talk to us, man, about this matchup you've got coming up with the Chargers. How you feeling about that
uh,
matchup?
I said at the beginning of the year, at our that this matchup was going to be the true test as far as how the Falcons this Falcons team is. And I think that statement still rings true because you're gonna have a team in the Chargers that by all means should be in the AFC playoff to come January. But they are known to lose games that they shouldn't lose. So this could be very much one of those games. The way the Falcons are playing right now, their offense is rolling. Even without Cordell Patterson still on IR, their defense is playing much better than people gave them credit for, including myself at the beginning of the season. So they have a defense that can generate pressure and create turnovers. And that's something that you really need to have against Los Angeles and their high-powered offense that they have out there.
I dig that. Definitely can dig that. So when we talk about what you guys have been doing so far, actually, before we move on here, guys, let's go ahead and get our other guy in here real quick, and we'll go ahead and make this a nice family affair.
It's a family.
Scared for a second there. I don't know.
There we go.
Got ourselves a matchup.
Yes, sir. So we're welcoming in Big Jake. How's it going, Jake?
Oh, it's going fantastic, man. We got the World Series going on, and you know, honestly, looking forward to hopefully a really good victory this Sunday.
We'll see.
Fair
We'll
enough.
see.
So, Jake, talk to me about what you think the Chargers are going to be able to do, of course, with your depleted wide receiver core, to secure a victory here. Because if I remember correctly, I think you're not going to have Mike Williams or Palmer this week.
Yep, and +2 lingering on with the injury of Keenan Allen either.
I don't even
Um,
want to talk about Keenan Allen, man. This dude
it
has been
just
playing with me every week in fantasy. I don't even want to talk about that guy.
yeah, trust me, be a team fan and like for real, like I'd be feeling the same way. I can honestly tell you, I was sorely disappointed with knowing we had trade deadline today, and the fact that not even a single call to the New York Jets, whether it was regarding Denzel Mims or it was regarding Elijah Moore. It just tells you how depleted that the wide receiver room really, really is for the Chargers, and that's going to be the toughest challenge. I think getting getting past a team like Atlanta, which unfortunately no Deion Jones. They also lost another one of their players in the secondary due to the trade, but I really do think it's going to be interesting. I feel like it's going to be more tight end reliant with Gerald Everett majority of the time, but I also do think splitting a lot of those targets with Austin Eckler. Last time,
Yeah.
even seeing the Falcons in the past, I mean, it was quite the mediocre game, even though Matt Ryan was under center for the Falcons that year. But it just kind of seemed like I didn't know what really the Chargers schematics were going to be against the Falcons the last time around. But the game was close, and to see them with a depleting wide receiving room, they're going to have to rely on their tight end, Gerald Everett, and hopefully DeAndre Carter. I mean, the fact that, I know him being a kick returner, but being in this position of being that big wide receiver, he's going to have to come up with some big plays at some point.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, man. So, Chris, from the Falcons end, what do you think? What do you think the game plan should be that the Falcons should have to attempt to get a victory here on Sunday?
Let Marcus Mariota do his thing back there. I think he's going to be the X factor. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the season. The last time Mariota played the Chargers was when he took over for Derek Carr in Las Vegas, and he ran all over the Chargers defense. It came
Scared
down
the hell
to
out of me that game.
It very much did. It came down to the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing the game by like 2 points or something ridiculous like that. I think this is going to come down to the same type of game. They're going to have some sort of answer for Mariota being able to scramble around and make plays with his legs. And then, of course, we did lose a couple people in trades, but just the pieces they were able to get back, they were able to, swap out some people who might have been on the weaker side and bring in some more talent. So we'll see how that talent gels come Sunday. But I think this is going to be a really, really interesting game. Like I said, it's going to come down to, can LA contain Marcus?
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, Jake, man, any last words?
I just
Last thoughts
honestly
about the
have to
matchup?
say, I mean, the matchup, I can just tell you one thing. I mean, going into the bye week last week, I didn't feel great because of the fact of the big time loss against the Seahawks was one that really stung. If we come away with a loss against the Atlanta Falcons, several things need to happen. Number one, I do not want to see Joe Lombardi in that building again, because this has been absolutely atrocious on our offensive end. The fact that not only dealing with a wide receiving depleting room, but you are pulling on Justin Herbert's strings way too much, playing too much conservative ball, not allowing him to just do his thing, throw darts, and just be confident in the fact that he is the franchise quarterback, that he's got stuff. And it just drives me nuts of how conservative, because I've seen this with the Broncos, I've seen this several times with the Jaguars, and I've even seen this with Seattle. And it's what's accounted so much of why our offense just has not been productive at all this season. I know injuries account for it, but there's going to be some serious changes. But if it becomes a loss against the Falcons, I mean, you kind of already know. It's time to just clean slate. Dean Spanos really needs to wake himself up if he truthfully wants to see this organization move in the right direction. And that's where he's got to start it from. Because this kind of result, to the point of where the Chargers would be this close to making the playoffs again in consecutive years, is unacceptable. So that's where I'm like, hopefully they come away with a win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up losing to the Falcons, in my opinion.
Okay. And same thing for you, Chris. Man, any last thoughts?
Yeah, so I have the Falcons going 5-3. or sorry, 3-5, then 3-2 the next 5 weeks, and going into the bye week. This game right here is one of the ones I circled that they should lose. But as I said earlier, this is a game that the Chargers usually lay out a goose egg for. Sometimes they play down to their opponents. So if somehow Atlanta can come away and take this game and come away with 3 of the next 4, go into the bye week at 8-5, going into December, it's going to be a cakewalk. They're already in 1 game ahead of Tampa Bay. They need to stay that way, and they can very well win the South. But it starts Sunday.
Well, fair enough, guys. And hey, guys, just remember to hop on the YouTube and let everybody know where they can find you. Appreciate both you guys. Good luck on the game, and hopefully we'll see you guys back next week.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Heck yeah.
All right, so we're going to transition over to our next matchup, which is going to be a pretty interesting matchup we got here. Looks like we got one of the reps, but hey, it happens sometimes. So we've got Jeff here for the Miami Dolphins. They're also going to be playing the Chicago Bears. And actually, guys, it looks like we may have a matchup.
Oh, man.
1 second here.
I turned my right mic on this week, too. I apologize, gentlemen.
Hey, things happen, man.
I
Nobody's
listened to the
perfect,
show
nobody's
last week,
perfect.
and I'm like, man, it happens to me a couple times a year.
Hey,
like,
y'all are welcome. You're welcome, Jeff. I'll just say that.
Yeah, all you got to do is, like, look at your settings. Man.
All right, so we'll go over here and get this matchup on the way. Malcolm, how's it going today, man?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. Been happy with the Bears trades as of late. I'm not gonna lie. I'm happy with every trade that they made, and getting Chase Claypool is a start. So hopefully we'll talk about that when we talk about what's up, Mr. Jeff.
How are you? How are you? We also had a good trade. We're going different directions. We had a good trade day also.
You guys are going all in, and unfortunately, you are going all in on my Bears, who are rebuilding. So, yeah, enjoy your free win while we rebuild Tank Bowl.
Hey, man, you don't, man. I thought that last night. And I watched that Monday night game, and like, you have no idea what's going to happen in the NFL.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, man. When we're looking at the NFL, man, we don't know. Like, we're 7-0, but I'm not confident any week because we just don't know. Like things could go wrong, the wrong injury, bad calls, because we saw some horrible ones.
A bad call, a bad.
Yeah, that Jets game had a horrible roughing the passer call.
The Carolina call. I mean,
the Eagles had a weird play where it was a punt at the ball. We knocked it out of the end zone. The guy from the Steelers grabbed it, ran into the end zone himself, got tackled in the end zone, and they called it a touchback. And we're like,
well, I think because you touched it, right?
So they didn't give a good explanation. But the thing is, even if we knock it out of the end zone, if they're the ones that pick it up and then the guy walks back into the end zone, there's no reason why there shouldn't be a safety. He wasn't forced into the end zone. We knocked it out, but then somebody from the Steelers picked it up and ran in the end zone. So there's no way that should be a touchback. But, what are you going to do, right? But, yeah, just bad calls, so you never know, like, all those things are going to happen. So you never really know who's going to win because if the calls go against you, they can really mess up momentum and they can cause you to, end up in a bad situation. But said, I'm going to let you take this one, sir, and I'm going to ride the co-pilot seat.
Sounds good. Oh, man. I was saying thank you to you earlier, Jeff, for Bradley Chubb. I don't know if you caught on to that, but
I did.
We'll see how it works out in 5 years.
Well, no, that's the whole thing about these trades. Like it's all about the next year. Like I'm really happy about what we did for this year. Jeff Wilson is a home run to me. That was the one that I got really excited about.
That was a good one.
that's a guy that's great in that system. I mean, I think he's a really good player, and he's really good in that system. You know, obviously with CMC, you know, he was expendable. What a great pickup. You know, what I like about that is that it shows that our coach is paying attention. You know what I mean? Like, it shows that he's like, that's a piece to the puzzle. That's a piece of the puzzle. Because too many times these coaches slow play it. Well, guess what? You're not going to be there when the team's good. Like, look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They're really good right now. The coach that started with like this kind of rebuilding process isn't there. So, like, go all in, try to win games, you know, and see what happens. Next 2 years from now, Miami's going to be in a horrible, you know, salary cap situation. We're not going to who to pay. We're going to have to let stars go. But if you tell me like we can be the LA Rams of last year, I'm all in because I'm 47 years old and I'm tired of waiting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of trades, I mean, with the Bears losing Roquan Smith, what can they do to contain the Dolphins and try to maybe slow them down this week, Jeff?
Oh man, here's what's funny. This sounds crazy to say, but apparently plays zone defense. I looked at all those advanced numbers last week. Tua's I think he is the best quarterback in the league against man-to-man defense. And if you look at all the games that he's played, you know, he had a weird stretch there in those 3 games with the, you know, the concussions and all that. The games that he's played, he has actually torched teams that try to rattle him and try to play press coverage and all this. Like, it must be just something that he's good at reading or he's good at picking up on. It's one of these, like, this is a classic, like, Kansas City versus Tampa Bay Super Bowl, to where, like, maybe if you're just a team, just sit back and let Tua overthink it and fill the lanes and, you know, get a tip ball or get easy interception. Just play a classic, Lovie Smith Tampa 2 defense. And do it that way, because those wide receivers want to run, and when you try to run with them, you just can't. Like Waddle and Hill right now they're on one, and maybe you just you sit back in a what I call, if you want to, whatever they want to call it now. If you want to call it a shell, if you want to call it a prevent, if you want to call it a cover 2, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same defense. You know what I mean? It's playing quarters and, you know, and making a quarterback throw into tight windows. That feels like, and that's the way you beat a lot of, you know, quarterbacks. But it feels like that's, as of right now, that's how you want to attack Miami.
Okay. Hey, Malcolm. So with your, you know, loss on your defensive side, what do you think? Which area do you think it'd be best for Miami to attack?
Secondary. Ask the Cowboys. Because, like, the funny thing about that Cowboy game was, and Doug, if you're watching this, good win, by the way. But I'm going to say this. Offense showed up last week. Defense didn't. And that's rare. When have you ever heard of a Bears team that scored back-to-back double-digit points? In the 20s, no less. There you go. 0. Never seen that happen. Like, I'm so sick and tired of everybody saying, hey, Bears are just nothing but defense, but the last 2 weeks has been nothing but straight offense. What's the catch? That's all I want to know, is what the catch is. And you know what the catch is? They're letting Justin Fields be Justin Fields. The only way for Miami to win, they have to test the secondary. I mean, this is a test for Jalen Johnson. I obviously know he's going to be the one getting to Tyreek. And then as for Waddle, it's a test for Gordon and Brisker. And then I just don't want to see Kendall Valdor be the one to go one-on-one with Tyreek, because if so, Tyreek is going to make a fantasy owner happy. For me, Jeff, you'll probably love this. I have Tua as my starter, so he helped me win last week. So, yeah, the only way for the Dolphins to win, they have to attack the secondary. It's a really test for the secondary.
And I like some of the stuff the Dolphins are doing now too. They're finally, I like what they've done as far as easing into this I'll just call it the Shanahan offense because it's kind of unique around the league. And now they're starting to like, the big play last week, Tua's rolling out, he flips it to Mostert, a touchdown. And it looked exactly like Jimmy G in San Francisco. Like that is a play that like we've seen, 10 times. And I like how they're slowly, because that's what you're going to need, if the weather's not as good, if you're not playing in Miami, if you're not playing in a dome, you're going to need some of these tough. And it takes some of the pressure off Tua, which, we said that in some of our shows earlier in the year. I like how this offense is evolving, takes some of the pressure off, and then all of a sudden it's opened up space for Tyreek. I think, honestly, I think he's playing the best all-around wide receiver he's played since he's been in the league, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but like, I think he had such a great quarterback in Kansas City that honestly, he could kind of do whatever he wanted to do. And now he's really like doing what he needs to do for Tua. Like he's like, okay, Tua can't just flip it 60 yards. Like we keep, so now he's breaking off some of these routes. So now he's traveling more. We'll call it east and west, but you still can't catch him. And then Waddle's kind of come into his own. So like those three have really become dynamic, and then, defensively, I think that the safeties versus Justin Fields, who I'm happy to say, not just because I'm a Ohio State fan, but I just happen to like Justin Fields. It's kind of a bad matchup for him. He's getting better, and they're letting him open up a little bit and have some fun and evolve. But it's a bad matchup as far as the safety sitting in the middle of the field waiting for Justin Fields to make a mistake, and I assume there'll be a couple of them. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm still optimistic. I think the last couple of weeks have been, up, a good sign. I like their running back Herbert. Curious to how Malcolm feels about Herbert. I like that guy a lot. I think he's one of these guys that like next year you're gonna be like, is he really good? Like I think he's a really good running back.
Yeah, that is true. Malcolm, any last thoughts, man?
Let me say this. I have a friend that I went to high school with. He's a Dolphins fan. And I told him, congrats on your free win of next week, obviously. And he's like, don't sleep on Chicago. I'm like, man, we're about to get rid of Roquan Smith. We got rid of Robert Quinn. This should be an easy win for the Dolphins. But until I thought about it, now Chicago gave Fields a person that, he can throw it to. And it puts the pressure off Mooney. And the thing about with Chase, the only thing I'm very, very hopefully he doesn't bring this to Chicago. Granted, he does bad routes and stuff like that, but mostly his attitude. That's the only thing that I'm more concerned with is his attitude, his Irish pride attitude. But the one thing a lot of people ain't talking about is that he's reunited with Cole Kmet, who he has played in college with. So we got two fighting Irish on the team. So I'm cool with that. But this is not going to be a walk in the park for Miami.
No.
Because let me say this. Even though we lost by 20, I still say that the Bears are, I can't say the word competitive. This is we're 3-5. So we have to be the most fightingest 3-5 team I've seen, even though this is a rebuild year for them. I have Miami winning with a score of 28-24 because I believe Justin Fields will make plays. Chase Claypool, now you have Miami now have to go game field with him, and you got N'Keal Harry, who I think Dolphins fans should know quite very well. But the biggest thing right now, what I want to see from this Bears team is the protection of Justin Fields. Because right now you only have 2/5 of an offensive line, and that being Larry Broom, and the other, Tevin Jenkins, who fans wanted Tevin to get traded. But after you look at Tevin Jenkins' numbers, he's probably the best offensive lineman team has right now. And that's positive because this is what his in my opinion, his actual really full rookie year. Because remember, last year he got hurt. So, what is up, Key in the building? So yeah, final thoughts. I think, Miami wins by 4, but don't sleep on Chicago. Chicago could beat Miami. If they do, we get our revenge from 2018. Because last time these two teams met, 2018, it was in overtime, and somehow our defense crumbled, and we let Miami win. I don't know how it happened, but it happened.
Definitely.
So, hey.
Well, man, appreciate both of you guys for hopping
Just
on
real
with
quick,
us.
I want to shout out to a throwback. One of the greatest NFL games I ever watched. I'm old enough to remember. I watched 1985 Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino give the great 85 Bears their only loss of the season on Monday Night Football. And that's so every time these two teams play, it's something special.
Well, definitely don't want a repeat of that this Monday night. So yeah. Well, appreciate both of you guys, man. Make sure you hop in the comments and let everybody know where they can find you.
Absolutely.
And good luck, guys, and we'll see you both back next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Heck yeah.
All right. Thanks. See you guys.
All right, so we're gonna hop over to our next matchup. We got one of the guys, our one of the fam, sports guy Jado in the building this week. What's going on, man?
Man, what's going on, man? How y'all doing today?
We're
Great,
doing good, man.
man.
Glad to have you back in the building, man.
I'm still trying to get over from yesterday. Feel like this still got a bad taste in my mouth, man. But we holding on. We holding on.
Well, the good news is you're playing the Panthers this week. So.
I'm gonna save my thoughts to my guy Mo Summers come on because
Oh,
he
he
gonna.
won't. He's not gonna be on.
Oh, okay, well,
It's all you.
I'm gonna keep y'all 100. We're not fine, and we have so many problems on this team that if we lose to the Panthers, I feel like this season is over because one, the Panthers are playing with house money. Two, they're gonna treat this game like a playoff game because they have nothing to lose. They got PJ Walker at quarterback, and absolutely he's been well these last 2 weeks. And three, like our defense, it just took a large loss to Chubba Woozier. So I don't want to see DJ Moore going wild or anything like. So it just seems like to me like we shooting ourselves in the foot with our injuries, and we already have multiple players out. Like our star receiver Jamar Chase. Um, now it's a Woozier. Like you get the point though. But all I know is this type of matchup is gonna be how can Burrow revamp this team again? You know what I'm saying? Because it starts with him. If he doesn't have a good day, T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd might not even have a good day. And don't get me started on Joe Mixon. Like averaging 3 yards per carry. Like he's just been a major disappointment. So this Bengals team has a lot of issues they trying to work out. And honestly seeing this matchup closer than what people thinking.
So, man, do you think that it's the Super Bowl hangover? You think that's what's happening, or just the injuries, the lack of a line, and all those things
See,
kind of adding up together? What do you think as a fan?
man, me's been watching the Bengals all this season. I felt like it was a Super Bowl hungover because
Okay.
like when we got the line, we wasn't like they wasn't really working with each other as much as they should. Like they should have been in the preseason getting snaps together, gelling together, moving as a unit. It shouldn't have to take like 4 or 5 games for them to get it all together. I just felt like they was too late. That was wrong timing with getting the line together. And another thing is, I feel like the injury bug, it just smacked us. It just smacked us like in the middle of the season. Like getting players hurt in the middle of the season is one of the worst things ever because you'll be hitting your stride and then boom, you gotta go back to the drawing board to see how can you recoup from this and how can you just keep this going. So it's very frustrating because we just made the Super Bowl last year. We got all these high expectations, but we're not living to those high expectations because players are hurt and we're losing the teams that we should be beating.
That is definitely a frustrating thing, man. I've been there several times as an Eagles fan before, so I get it, man.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
it's tough when it happens, man. So I'm glad you mentioned the Panthers, man. How do you feel like that it's really a consistent thing that PJ Walker's going to be able to play the way he's been playing, and do you feel like he's going to be able to deliver the ball to the receivers, everything like he's been doing? Or do you think that now people getting a couple of weeks of film on him, they're going to be able to kind of negate some of that more? How
Yeah,
are your feelings on that go?
yeah. I think for our Bengals, for us Bengals, since we got 2 weeks of tape on him, I think we should how can we stop his intangibles, his strengths, his weakness, because we seen a lot of tape on this guy, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. Like,
Yep.
but I feel like, for some apparent reason, these guys that's undrafted or first career start, they always do good against the Bengals. So if they're running the football correctly, he's making the correct throws. It'd be a big, strong possibility that they can win that game. So I think if PJ Walker, if he want to win this game, he has to study hard on this Bengals defense and see what we gonna give him though. So I think PJ Walker, he's gonna have a solid game because he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So if
Yeah.
he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, he gonna keep them in the game in some way.
And that daggone Deontay Foreman, man, that's somebody you got to watch out for. I was telling people when they
Bro.
made the trade for CMC, I was like, he's not CMC. I'm not trying to say that whatsoever. But this is the
Right.
man who kept the Titans in it last year when all they
Yeah.
did was run the ball when King Henry was hurt. So this was to me a great pickup because let's be honest, the last 3 years McCaffrey's been hurt every year anyway. So you had to go and
Right.
get a guy who could step into the starting role and be productive, and they have that. So even though they don't have Christian McCaffrey, they have more of a defined role for their running back. You're not throwing the ball to Deontay Foreman 10 times, but when you hand him the ball, he's gonna get you some yards. That's his goal. So I think that that's may be better with a guy like PJ Walker because you got him. So now you're opening up the possibility for RPOs, play action. You weren't really too worried about play action with Christian McCaffrey because you felt like we may fake it to, the Panthers might fake it to him and then turn around and throw him the ball 5 yards down the field. So
Right.
you were focused on him, and I think the offense was focused on McCaffrey getting so many touches and what McCaffrey can do, and I think now it's more open. So you're seeing DJ Moore eat a lot more. You're going to see people make an adjustment to him, which I think you guys will because you have a good defense.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see other guys have to either get off or we're going to start seeing the Panthers being more like what we've seen in the past.
Hmm.
But definitely, man, I'm excited for this game because I want to see if I actually live in Charlotte. I'm an Eagles
Okay.
fan, but I live in Charlotte, so I'm excited because on the radio right now, PJ Walker's the guy, and why hasn't he been playing? And I'm like, PJ Walker has played before and played very subpar. So this is
Yeah.
something new for PJ. And I'm not saying that like, I want the guy to be well because at the end of the day, if he's playing well, the city I'm in is happy. People are coming here, they're spending money. I don't have to listen to sports talk radio and hear them cry all day. So,
Right.
so so I'm kind of happy that, at least for a few weeks we're seeing this, but I'm interested to see if it's something that can continue. And I feel like even though the Bengals are having their own struggles offensively, defensively, y'all are a good team. And I think it'll be a challenge for him to see what he could do against a defense like you guys.
I think for us game plan though, I know it's like Tuesday though, but I feel like one of the game plans is get constant pressure on PJ Walker. Like, when you got two guys like Trey Henderson and Sam Hubbard on both sides, and you can throw in Joseph Osai, that's enough pressure to get to a quarterback. And if you watch the Monday Night Football game, you see Eli Apple didn't play last night, but now when he retired, he's cornerback one, and Taylor Britt. So I hope they don't look on film like, hey, we can torture that guy at 29 right there. We keep going at him though. So I hope Taylor Britt like remember his first time starting, and get ready for Sunday because the Panthers coming to play. They coming to think this is a playoff game. This is a wild card matchup on the road for them.
Definitely agree, man. Definitely agree. Did you have any last thoughts that you wanted to give on the game, man?
And another thing too, man, do not draft Alabama left tackles because I've seen Jonah Williams get whooped by every piece of good, average, good, great player So he's going to be our key factor because I like Brian Burns on that defense side the Panthers got. He can get a lot of pressure. He's young, he's physical, so that's one of the matchups. And J.C. Horn, he's a shutdown corner, a corner that's going to play your best receiver. So that's going to be some intriguing matchups like that we're going to have to pay attention to because if J.C. is winning the matchup, I think we're going to be in trouble. And Brian Burns, if he can find a way to get to Joe Burrow, yeah, we might be in trouble. So all hands on deck.
Makes sense to me, man. Makes sense to me, man. So definitely appreciate you coming on, man.
For sure, man.
And we'll, look forward to having you on next week. Good luck with the game. Make sure you hop in the comments on YouTube. Just let everybody know where they can find you.
For sure, man. Hey, thank you, cool, man. See you,
No problem, man. No problem, man.
Have a good one, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and hop to the next matchup, and you'll get a little dose of me and Ced's thoughts on this game as well.
Hey.
And of course, I'll let Ced lead it off. But we got the Packers and the Lions, a nice divisional matchup by two teams that I think per standards are playing a little below what most people expected for both of them to do. What are your thoughts, Ced?
I mean, the Lions just traded their tight end to the Vikings. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but they did pick up a receiver too, didn't they? I think they picked a receiver up. But I mean, I think this is a get right game for Green Bay. There's been that moment in the past 2-3 seasons where we've seen Green Bay just kind of click. Granted, they don't have the offensive firepower that they've had in the past. They still do got Aaron Rodgers. They still do got those two running backs back there. And it's the Lions, man. Lions, you're supposed to go in and beat the Lions. So I don't foresee the Lions actually putting up much of a fight this week, to be honest with you. I mean, they got, who is it? Who's their running backs? Is Swift back there?
Yeah.
Swift and Williams back there splitting it. Williams has been killing it for sure. Their running game's on point, but I don't know, man. I think Green Bay's gonna pull this one out. It's gonna be an ugly game for sure. One of those ugly ones, which we're not used to seeing, from Green Bay, but that's how they've been all season, and I don't see them necessarily turning it around, but they are gonna click that switch and come out and play like they should.
Yeah, I was actually got a chance to listen to some of the sports shows like Sunday night, Monday morning, and one of the big things that they were talking about, a lot of the guys that were former quarterbacks or former wide receivers, was that Aaron Rodgers is used to throwing the ball to guys where he expects them to be. So kind of anticipating, because he's built up that that camaraderie with the guys. They kind of understand each other. They know what they're going to do. But what's been happening lately is they've been in situations where he doesn't have those guys that have that same rapport with him. So what he's got to start doing, and I saw him do it with Dobbs and some of the other plays that he made, is throwing the ball to where they're at. So, not saying, oh, I expect you to go up here, cut inside, and hit this open spot. Oh, I see you're going up the line, and you have the ability to make the catch on your outside shoulder. I'm just going to throw you the ball there. I'm going to stop attempting to anticipate and expect you to do what a guy like, Devontae Adams did when he played with me before, Randall Cobb, guys that I had that rapport with. So I saw a little bit of that switch in the game, and they looked better, I think, because of it. Now, how far that goes next week, no one knows. But I'd say the Lions are a much better team, even though their record is not reflecting it currently. But they played almost everybody well this year. They've got a better coach. They are getting the right players, and you think next year they're probably going to get a better quarterback. They're going to probably be a team that's going to be a difficult out all year. I expected them to get about 7 to 8 wins. They can still do that. This game depends on which Packers team shows up. If they show up the way that they've been showing up, I think they're going to lose. But if they're able to do more offensively, maybe even really unleash the run game, they should be fine with getting a victory. So it's just one of those things where we're gonna have to see how they show up.
Yeah.
But if I was betting, I would assume that we're going to get, you know, a Packers team that's coming out with a little bit more confidence with a good game plan. But I will say this: I expect the Packers to win, but if they lose this game, there's going to be a whole lot of problems in Green Bay come next Monday.
Yeah. I think Aaron Rodgers just quits if they lose. Just walks off the field.
That may make the team better right there, just because it doesn't sound like he's gelling with the younger teammates this year. So
He's like 20 years older than him. It's
yeah,
about
but
time.
you gotta, if you're gonna be there, if you're gonna be their guy, you're gonna be their quote unquote leader, man. You gotta find a way to gel with the guys. He just
They don't
hasn't done
want to eat
that.
mushrooms with them. That's what they need to do. Go sit on a mountaintop with Aaron Rodgers and they'll figure it out.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that's their that's their goal. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think this should be a win for Green Bay. But I would not be surprised if the Lions find a way to win this game and kind of start putting the nails in the coffin for this team as it's currently constructed. We'll say. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on here to the next matchup. And we have Kyle joining us. Unfortunately, Kyle is going to be alone this week, but Kyle's enough to handle two teams anyway, so not a big deal. How's it going today, Kyle?
Hey, I'm never alone as long as I have you and said in the picture, man. That's all.
Hey.
By the way, if we're going
Love
to
it.
acknowledge something about the Packers, let's not put it all on Aaron Rodgers' prickliness. They've been drafting defense instead of receivers, and the defense still ain't that great. I'm just saying.
You have a point there.
That's true. That's true.
You do have a point there. So, Kyle, man, talk to us. What do we have going on this week with your matchup, man?
Well, listen, as
You
far
and
as
the Raiders, right?
the Jags and the Raiders this
Yeah.
week, they'll be back at TIAA Bank Stadium here in Jacksonville, and I will be in attendance in the press box once again. But, gentlemen, I'm going to say this. I cannot find a more difficult opponent.
Really?
I that same opponent week in and week out for the Jacksonville Jaguars themselves. Mike Jackson need to be singing about the man in the mirror when it comes to this team, because goodness gracious. And I can take it back even to the Giants game where they had 13 penalties over 8, and Travis Etienne in his first 100-yard game fumbling out the back of the end zone. 150 yards last week, and you still find a way to lose to the Broncos, who the team was, they were going to fire Nathaniel Hackett. Why are you celebrating? You had a chance to have Nathaniel Hackett fired, and you ruined it. That's
We got
not-
first round pick, bro. I'm good about that.
You will have that either way, no matter what. How matter?
Give him one more year. Give him
No
one more
matter how
year.
much Hackett ruins that job. By the way, he coached here last year. I can tell you how bad he was. Anyways, so with all that aside, no, I said I had to get that in, man.
That's why he had to beat you guys, but we'll keep it moving.
I mean, if you want it that bad, you have Nathaniel Hackett. Congratulations. Anyways, man, listen, when it comes to the Raiders, though, I have the same kind of feeling. It's about stopping those mistakes from happening. And listen, say what you will about the James Robinson trade. He's out of the building. What happens? Etienne with 150 yards. That's an amazing thing. And respect to your Broncos defense. I'm shocked that happened, but they're still a good group. That being said, the Raiders defense is completely not a thing. Can we be honest about that for a minute? If Trevor Lawrence does his job, this should be a shootout with a little bit of mix of balance from Etienne, who's continued to do good things. This offensive line in Jacksonville has played better in this year than I can probably argue in the past 3. Granted, a lot of it is situationally based. If it's 3rd and long and they're forced to protect and pass when the defense is pinning their ears back and the attack is coming, they're still not all that great. But balanced attack, I think I've said it before on this show, is the key for the Jags to be successful in any situation. That being said, this game becomes a shootout where Derek Carr starts doing things that's problematic. And these defensive backs, guys, listen, you saw it last week, said, oh my goodness. What those defensive backs do and how they get abused by opposing offenses of late is a sight to behold. If you're into horror movies, wait, Halloween was yesterday.
I
But
mean, the Raiders don't have much of an offense right now either. Devontae Adams had what, 3 receiving yards last week
they're paying
in their
attention
last
to
game.
it.
I got him on my fantasy team, so I know that he did not have anything. I can tell you that much. But I think Derek Carr only had like 186 yards passing last week as well. Um, Granted, Renfro is back, but I mean, it's essentially just like last week. It's not, you guys are pretty identical to the Raiders. Um, and their woes are the same too. They're shooting themselves in the foot. Um, I think this is. I don't think it'll be a shootout. I think Raiders and Jags fans will look at it as a shootout, but I think it'll just be a lot of tossing the ball up in the air.
Well, and let's give the Saints a little bit of credit too. Like as they're a team that's completely changed their identity with the Raiders. Playing the Raiders last week, that defense is a lot better than it's been since the Saints won the Super Bowl. Okay,
True.
We're going back that far. So let's give them a little credit. I agree with you. You bring up a great point about the Raiders, but they had a burn the tape game. I can argue that works against the Jags because they're going to come out in a way that is far more angry. Let's be real, You mentioned the quarterback situation. They had Jarrett Stidham in the game at one point. That should tell you everything you need to know. Now, if Jarrett Stidham comes out and starts, that certainly helps the Jags, but I have no reason to think that that'll happen. So yeah, listen, and I love that you brought up the point about, the Raiders last week and what happened. But at the end of the day, I still think because these defenses are as bad as they are, they're going to make each other look better than the past 2 weeks' games. Whereas both teams were facing good defenses. Great point you bring up. I think that's going to be the difference, though, is the defense or lack thereof.
Sounds good.
Definitely makes sense, man. Definitely makes sense. So, Kyle, you're very, knowledgeable, obviously, about your team. I also want to give you kudos because I don't know how you can go to the games and cheer your team on every week and actually have a voice. I still don't. I was in Philadelphia, this weekend for the game, and man, this is all I got right now.
I mean,
But-
they were in London, and I'm in the press box typically, so you're not allowed to cheer there. That helps the boys,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, man, my throat is wiped out, dude. But I'm gonna tough through this. But do you have any other thoughts or any other concerns, any last words in regards to this matchup?
Defensively, I as much as I've called out the Jaguars, I think what they may want to do, I'm not here coaching the team, obviously, but in my mind, with the front that they've had and the way that they've been able to produce and get home to the quarterback on occasion there, I think the secondary needs to take more of a breakfast approach. Attack receivers early if you're worried about them in space. Don't let them get open and rely on the front to get home. That's risky, but hey, sometimes risk turns into opportunity that gets this team interceptions. Granted, the secondary issues being what they are, where say what you will about Shaquille Griffin. I know that there's been talk about him toast amongst the fan base, but him being out doesn't make the situation better. Herndon's played all right, but yeah, with that, listen, we got to stop seeing Trevor be a child and Trevor become an adult and finish some games with something other than interception, like he did with the Giants. Granted, a loss, but not a turnover. It was a loss on pace with that Titans Super Bowl conclusion. The reaching for the within a yard. That whole situation. So that's what you want to see at the end of a game is him coming up to a big situation, not committing a turnover.
Definitely makes sense, man. Well, Kyle, as always, you bring the energy. We
Yep.
appreciate you hopping on with us tonight. Good luck in your game, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, gentlemen. Hey, looking forward to it next time, guys. Cool. Always good to see you, Said. Good points you brought up to step in for the Raiders expert. I'm glad somebody from the AFC West stepped in. So
Had to.
love it.
All right, man. Well, don't forget to hop in the comments on YouTube as well and let us know where to find you, man.
Copy that, brother. Take care, guys.
Hell yeah. Have a good one.
Stewart, how's it going, man?
That's good, man. It's good. How's it going?
That's going, man. It's going. A little tough on the
great.
boys here, but we're pushing through it. Say's got my back, so we're good to go.
That's good.
Hey.
So yeah, man, we got another solo matchup here with you, the Colts versus the the New England Patriots. So, since you're the guy that's going to be kind of talking both teams, and this is no big deal for you, talk to us about this matchup. What do you feel are going to be the key points for you to obtain a victory, and the key points for you to suffer a loss?
I think in order for the Colts to win, I think they're going to have to do a little bit more offensively. Sure, were they creative and those types of things with Sam Ehlinger? Sure. And did he show a little bit of some flashes? Sure, he did. But he still threw 0 touchdowns. He still accounted for 0 points of what the Indianapolis Colts scored. So, you got to find a way to get him involved, to get him into the end zone. You got to find a way to bring out his best part. There's just some plays that still is a little questionable for me. I feel like we're conservative too much, and then in situations where we need to be conservative, I feel like we're too aggressive. On the other side, for New England, I think the way that New England wins this game is just play the way that they play. I mean, you watched a guy like Taylor Heineke carve up this defense, especially in that final drive of the game. I mean, Mac Jones is a better quarterback than Taylor Heineke is, and I think Mac Jones can do a lot of damage if you give him time. And right now, he's given time, he will beat you. And I think that's ultimately, if the Colts give him too much time and they can't get to the pass rush, or they can't get to the passer, then it's gonna come back and bite us in the rear end.
Definitely makes sense. Said any questions for Stuart?
I mean, I guess we all see what the Patriots did to the Jets. The Jets were on their hot streak, and man, it's just like Bill Belichick. It's just like Bill Belichick. He knows these teams, man. He knows how to coach against you guys. Do you see you guys? Do you see the Colts pulling this one off, or how are you feeling about this game?
I don't think so. I mean, I go back to last week's game and I think about the things that happened last week and how they didn't beat Washington. And I look at it and I say, okay, well, can we beat New England? Well, New England has a better quarterback. They definitely have the better head coach. I don't think anybody will disagree on that one. You look at it and you say, we fired our offensive coordinator today. We traded Nyheim Hines away today. So, in theory, our offense got worse. And you want an offense that put up 16 points last week to come in and try to put up what it's going to take to win, which is going to be 24, maybe 25 points to be able to win this football game. I don't think they can do that. I don't think they have the opportunity, or they're going to have the opportunity to do that. I mean, I think Bill Belichick's record versus young or rookie quarterbacks is like 1,000 to like 2 or something like that. But obviously that's an over-exaggeration. But he's very good versus young and rookie quarterbacks, and Sam's only in his second year as a starter. So it's not going to be a great day for Sam, I don't think, and I don't think it's going to be a great day for the Colts overall, especially since we have to see Frank Reich get with firing Marcus Brady, our offensive coordinator. Now Frank Reich is in charge, and we've seen how that works, and it's just going to be horrible from that point on.
Yeah, definitely makes sense, man. I mean, you kind of know, like, as a fan, you kind of see the writing on the wall with your coach, with different, personnel. And you kind of like, you had your chance, you're going in the wrong direction. And, pretty much when that happens, I mean, like you said, man, change is inevitable unless you can do something to right the ship. I mean, it kind of looks like maybe the voice isn't what it once was a couple of years ago. But I just want to say that you can blame Josh McDaniels for that, because he was the guy that was supposed to come and be you guys' coach.
But let me say this. I was listening to you guys talk to Kyle, the guy before me, and I mean, right now it's not looking like Josh McDaniels is worth a darn as a head coach either. I mean, right. McDaniels, he's had 2 stints now. His first stint, he drafted Tim Tebow. How did that work out for him? And the second stint now, he's not a very good football coach, and I think it's starting to show. So, yeah, he may have stood us up at the altar, but I think we dodged a bullet from that standpoint.
Hey, he got us Peyton Manning because he drafted Tebow.
Well, I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, and I'm a Tebow guy. I'm a Tebow fan. right? Like
I like Tebow.
I have a lot. I have every shirt Tebow's ever, of Tim Tebow ever dating back to Florida. I'm a Tebow guy, but to draft Tim Tebow in the first round and to tell me you're an offensive guru is a little bit of a different story. Sorry, I wasn't trying to get off on a Josh McDaniels rant. But.
You make a fair point. I just have a bitter spot for him because he stole Frank Reich from us because of his shenanigans.
Guess
our
what? You
Super
can have
Bowl,
him
so-
back.
yeah, I don't think I think we're
Y'all don't
good
want
now.
him either.
How about we take your offensive coordinator as our head coach, and you take Frank Reich as your offensive coordinator?
Hey,
If I were you, if I was going to take somebody from my staff, I would take the defensive coordinator.
You think so?
And the reason I say that is I think he is better prepared to be a head coach because as a head coach, you don't necessarily have to call plays. I don't like his play calling, but he does a lot of other good things, like getting the different groups of the defense together, overseeing the defense. I've seen him be really good at those things, which I think translate more to a head coach. I wouldn't allow him to call plays, but I think he would be a good head coach as a traditional head coach, right? To manage the entire process, allow his OC to do their job, allow his DC to do their job. So as an Eagles fan, if I were you, if I was taking somebody, that would be who I'd be, positioning for.
Well, you guys stole Nick Sirianni from us, so
And it took a year because his first year was a little shaky, but a lot better this year. But last year wasn't that big of a Sirianni fan, but definitely he's growing on me. He's growing on me. But yeah, Stuart, I was just gonna just say if you had any other last thoughts that you wanted to give in regards to the matchup, and hopefully next week when you're on, we'll have the other team there, and you guys can kind of have a little bit of that banter that's always real juicy.
My final thing is, and I hate to say this because the Patriots used to be my number one hated team. They moved down to number 2 above the Titans in Tennessee. Yeah, I had to throw a little dirt on the Titans. You know how it is. You're an Eagles fan. You hate those Cowboys and Giants fans. But ultimately, I think the Colts lose by the score of 24-14.
Fair enough. Definitely. Well, man, I definitely appreciate you, hopping in here with us. Always a pleasure to have you. Make sure you hop in the chat and let everybody know where to find you. Look forward to having you next week. And
right,
again,
see you
appreciate
next
it, man. All right. So, Sid, looks like we got another matchup we'll be discussing here.
all
And
right.
that's all good. And that's going to be
What you want
the Buffalo Bills and
the
the
Jets?
New York Jets. Yes, sir.
Oh man, battle for number 1
Yeah.
in the East. Right?
Definitely a battle, man.
What's their records? Are the Jets right behind the Bills? Let me see.
I believe they are the second best team in the division. I think
Yeah.
there's more than a game difference there, though, if I remember the last time I looked.
Yeah. The Bills are 6-1, and the Jets are 5-3.
Yeah.
Miami's 5-3 too.
Yeah, it's Bills, man. I mean, I'm not gonna play. It's Bills. Like,
What? You don't think
it's
the
Bills.
Jets come out and
No.
just run it up
No.
their faces with Robinson? You don't think they're gonna come out, light it up?
No. This
Yeah.
is the Bills, and it should be close.
I think it's gonna be a dirty game. The Jets are gonna try to slow it down, muck it up, a lot of running, try to keep it low. But you're right, the Bills, they just got too many quick strike ability. I mean, Gabe Davis, I mean, he's getting 3 catches a game for 120 yards a game, and then you got Stephon Diggs, you can't stop. Josh Allen just won't stop. Their running game, Singletary does what he needs when he needs to, and when you forget about him, he's catching 2 touchdowns a game. So you're right. They should come out, and I mean, it should be a tune-up for them. The Eagles did look good last week. They're right there. They're right there with the Bills. I think it'd be a good game, but I think the Bills are the best team in the league right now.
Yeah. I think the Bills, we can argue who's 1, 2, and 3, but I think everybody agrees the top three teams are the Bills, the Eagles, and the Chiefs.
Mm,
49ers look to be kind of on the way there,
well,
but if
because
we're
the Chiefs
being
beat the 49ers, so I give you that.
yeah, but you also have to think about there's going to be teams with better defenses that are going to be able to partially neutralize Christian McCaffrey. And I'm not saying completely take him out of the game, but we're going to assume he stays healthy, which we haven't seen in 3 years. But we're going to assume he stays healthy. So that's the first thing. But on top of that, we're also going to assume that, he's there, he's playing, he's continuing to be as productive as he was this past game. So if that happens. I
Yeah,
think
but
their team,
they still have Ayuk, they still have Samuel once he comes back, they still have Kittle. They made it to the playoffs without CMC. They made it to the Super Bowl with
they
Jimmy
did,
G. They
but they
have that
didn't win.
squad.
But they
Yeah, and
didn't win.
now they have that piece though.
But you have to also remember everyone else, and this is the thing that I like to point out. Everyone else didn't stay complacent, and the 49ers got better. Everyone else also has been improving since the 49ers made the Super Bowl, hence why they haven't been back there since then.
Well, because
So
they got
what?
Jimmy G. That's what's
Yeah,
keeping them
but
back.
I'm saying if you had Trey Lance, you put in he's pretty much a rookie as far as actually playing. So either way, I don't think they have the quarterback for them to get to the Super Bowl, right?
That's why they got CMC now. He can just catch it every other play. He can
I mean,
throw it too.
you could do that against some of these teams, but when you're playing these better defenses, which they're going to run across once we get to the playoffs, they're going to find ways to scheme to take some of these things away that they like to do. The same thing's going to happen to the Eagles. The same thing's going to happen to the Bills. The same thing's going to happen to all the teams. Once you're playing, all the better teams are playing. They're going to find ways to minimize certain things that you like to do. They're going to have a year of film on you, right? They're going to have 17 plus games of film on you. They're going to be able to look at it and see mostly what you do when you are in this formation with this guy split here, this guy here, this guy off center on the right, whatever. They're going to be able to say most of the time this is what they do, and they're going to start taking some of those things away. So that's the time where I want to see who's going to rise, right? Like right now, it's regular season. I'll be 100% honest with you. I could care less where people think the Eagles fall right now. If you think they're 1, you think they're 5, you think they're 10. It doesn't matter till we get to the playoffs. The only thing that matters is that record, getting that number 1 seed to get that first week bye, especially since we've already had our bye. We got to play a lot of games before the playoffs. To me, that's all that really matters, right? I mean, I talk about the rankings because, hey, we got to have something to talk about, talk sports. But I mean, honestly, that doesn't matter until the playoffs. And that's if you're 1. Because if you're not 1 moving forward, you got to play the first week. And
Yeah.
you want that body to get healthy.
So the rankings do matter because you got to end. You got to end
Well,
week 18 or whatever it is, 17, 18 as number one
listen to what I'm
to
saying.
get that seed.
You don't have to be number 1 in the rankings. You could be 15 in the rankings as long as you have the number 1 record. So they can
Yeah,
say,
that's what.
"Oh, you're the 15th best team according to the rankings from the experts." But as long as you have the best record, you get the number 1 seed.
Yeah,
So
I'm talking about the
I could care
standings.
less.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could care less about the rankings. It's the
yeah,
standings that matter, and that's just wins and losses.
this is true.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I sit on that particular issue. Obviously some people may see it differently, but like I said, it is something fun to talk about. We got a long season, we got to get through it, so it's all good.
I just feel like the Bills are about to steamroll through it, and then they're gonna go through the playoffs.
I do feel like the Bills have everything it would take to be, that team,
If they don't
right?
win it this year, then they're probably never gonna win it. I'll just say it like
Depends on
that.
who they play though, because there's some good teams in the East. There's a couple of good teams out in the NFC. There's not as many as we've had in the past, but there's a couple of good teams. So if you meet the wrong team, they match up with you correctly. Anybody can be beat. That's the beauty of the playoffs.
This is
But
true.
I do think they have the best path to getting to the Super Bowl, and then you see what happens. Honestly, of any team, because I think the quarterback's a little bit more seasoned than the quarterbacks. Well, the combination of talent and being seasoned than the quarterbacks that are going to more than likely be representing the NFC. So they'll have some opportunities, but the first thing is they got to get there healthy, and that's the biggest thing for everybody. But yeah, man. Did you have any other thoughts on this game, Cedric?
Oh man, no, Bills are gonna dominate.
Agreed. Agreed.
They're about to
All
win
right.
by like 25 points.
Absolutely. So we're gonna go ahead and hop over to our next matchup, and we've got our guy always there for us, Mr. Dependable himself,
Hey,
Couch Coach.
What's going on, guys?
what's going on?
Not much, man. Hey, great matchup on the horizon on Sunday, and hey, let's keep it rolling.
There you go. Keep that momentum.
Yeah.
Shoot, who y'all playing? The Vikings? I don't know if you're gonna keep that momentum. How do you feel about
Hey,
that?
man.
The Vikings, actually, that's
Oh,
who we
man,
forgot
this is
about
yeah.
too. Talking about the top team. Sorry to cut you off, Couch Coach. But do you think y'all have a chance? I mean, what do you guys got to do to win this game?
I think we definitely got a legitimate shot. I definitely think, in the fact of look at Minnesota, they're on a 5-game winning streak. So you look at that and you take it very serious, and you're seeing now where there's a difference, what a difference a year makes. 'Cause last year, if they was in this predicament, and they've been winning games by by possession, by one possession or less, and now they're winning games. Last year they were losing those. So you get that matchup, and I think you look at people get lost in this 5-game win streak. This Minnesota defense is not good as well. People look at obviously people our fathers used to say the purple people eaters in Minnesota. That's not that type of defense. They're giving up over 400 yards a game. So I definitely think this will be a great situation. And then off that pass defense is not the best. So I definitely think Washington definitely has a great shot, a legitimate shot to win this game. And I think they could just ride that momentum. Even though Minnesota is on a 5-game winning streak, we are also on a 3-game winning streak. So, and this is one of those games I looked at in the beginning of the season where this is a great test, because I always looked at Minnesota was someone I thought in the beginning was going to be like a fringe wild card team, but obviously I think they're going to probably just win this division handily. So this is kind of one of those matchups I looked at, early on, as far as, hey, this is an opportunity that if Washington wants to have playoff aspirations, this is a game that they have to take and they have to win.
I can see that. I feel like Minnesota's like the most subpar good team right now, because they are in that win streak. But I mean, Kirk Cousins they're not necessarily like out there lighting it up, like you said. Like they're just winning those close games. So what do you think the Commanders have to do? Do we lose them? You still there, Couch Coach?
I think we lost him for a minute.
Oh,
I think we.
Oh, here he is.
Am I back? Am I
Yeah,
back?
yeah.
Okay,
Back.
am I back? Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's good. It's internet, man. I swear, but yeah.
So I was gonna say, what do you think the Commanders have to come out to do and not lose this game?
I think obviously, I think Washington, their biggest thing is Taylor Heineke. I think he has to play smart, and you look at just what he has done. He still does have some knucklehead plays, which is, I think that's going to just be a custom. I think that's just how he rolls. So I look at that. I think the running game is definitely going to be key. You definitely seen you've seen a sample size of how good this running game could be last week. I definitely think they could definitely take advantage of that. I think defensively, I think you just got to contain. I think the thing is, the biggest thing with Washington was their pass defense coming into pretty much the season and even in the last few weeks. Even though we haven't really faced a lot of playmakers, but even in the past, we've had guys who weren't really household names became like that was their coming out party. So what can we do? Obviously, I think at this point it's questionable about Adam Thielen, but also we know Justin Jefferson is going to be there. So it's going to definitely be key of how we can contain them. And then, obviously get some turnovers off of our our former franchise quarterback that led us to our 2015 NFC East championship, and Kirk Cousins. Hopefully, get him a little bit rattled, especially considering the fact we have that vicious pass rush, and now we have a resurgence on our secondary. So I definitely think this is a great opportunity. I think if we can get some turnovers off of Kirk Cousins, I think we run the football, more effective. Taylor Heineke, a little bit more smarter in the pocket. I like the fact that he can elude that pocket and actually extend some plays. And I think that's going to be a lot. That's going to definitely be something that you'll see in this game big time, where he'll be able to extend plays where when you think the play is over, Taylor Heineke can turn, he can turn lemons into lemonade on a drive. So I definitely think Washington has a great shot. This will be a kind of a prove-it game this far for this team, where if this team wants to make the playoffs, this is where you can start making, at least some type of conversation. Is this team a playoff caliber team?
Okay. Cool. You got anything?
So, coach,
Yeah.
in this matchup, do you think that you guys are going to? Obviously, you think you're going to win, but are you going to be able to kind of start to ascend, in the NFC, contend for that last playoff spot, and slide your way in there? Do you feel that this is going to be the week to kind of start that process for you?
I think so. I think this is literally the beginning of somewhat of an interesting stretch. Obviously, we play Minnesota on Sunday, and then we go to Link, on next Monday. So, well, not next Monday, but the following Monday. But yeah, these next 2 weeks will definitely be a sign of, hey, can this team be a playoff caliber team? But I definitely think if they pull this off, yeah, I definitely think there's a shot, and especially coming in at 5-4, which and especially in how the NFC is structured, you're still in a good spot, even though your last place in not arguably the best division in the NFC, in actually the NFL, not just the NFC, but to be but to be in that predicament at 5-4 is pretty good, considering the fact that this team was 1-4 and pretty much was dead to rights, and everybody wrote them off. So yeah.
Well, you know how I feel about your team, man.
Sure.
I've told you all along. You've gotten rid of your weakness, and you've shown it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, man, while we're talking about it real quick, I'm going to say I don't think that the NFC East is arguably or in any way, shape, or form a portion, but they're definitely all of the best team. It's the best division in the NFL. Do you believe, seriously speaking, I know it says over here like, whatever, you guys, it just glows right now, but do you really think that we'll be able to get all four teams in to the playoffs and be what people thought the AFC West was going to be this year? Or do you think somebody's going to falter along the way?
That hurts.
You know what? In a strange way, and I know not to be for father, because obviously you're my NFC East brethren for life, but I think so. And I think and I kind of looked at some scenarios, because I think Tampa Bay ultimately is going to win that division. You're looking at fringe teams maybe like Atlanta, which we play Atlanta. And then I look at some other fringe teams, maybe like a Seattle, which I think San Francisco is going to win that division. I think you only really see those kind of teams remotely have a shot, maybe Atlanta and maybe Seattle outside of the actual NFC, because obviously I think the East, we know Philly's going to run that essentially. And then you just look at the North, you thinking about it, Green Bay would be like a fringe wild card team, because it's a lot of teams in the division and in the conference are almost damn near runaways as far as winning this division. So to me, And I think, especially with Washington, I think you got maybe about 3 or 4 teams that might be a fringe wild card team, and I think we definitely have a legitimate shot because I think we already know the way things are, like Dallas and the Giants, unless they have like an epic collapse. Essentially, it will make the playoffs regardless of that. But I think all 4 teams can literally make the playoffs. I think that's a shot. I think it's possible. It's very possible. If you look at the standings, it looks very possible. It's very doable.
Fair enough, man. Like I said, just wanted to get an opinion from someone else because you don't want to always be the person saying it right. You want other people yes or no, so you can kind of feel like if it's just your personal bias or if it's like a
Ain't none of
feasible
y'all making the
possibility.
playoffs.
Well, that's impossible.
That's impossible. So the Eagles will be
Yeah.
there, but the Cowboys will keep
Hey,
the
man.
rest of y'all out of it. Nah, I don't
Wow.
care about the NFC. Y'all
Hey,
good
I
over
mean, you may be right. Who knows?
there. We still got a whole
got a
half of a
shot.
season left. A lot can change, man.
Yeah.
It definitely can. Yeah, it definitely can.
You
It
know,
definitely
so.
can.
But I mean, you guys do have a good chance of four. I don't see 4 teams making it. I feel like you have a good chance of 3 teams making it for sure. If it were right now, you'd have 3 teams in. But I just think I mean, you can't overlook those other teams as well. They can go on a sneaky run, and that's all it takes, man. And it comes down to tiebreakers. But that would be cool to see 4 teams from one division in the playoffs. Um,
Historic.
and then to see it
Historic.
from your division, that would be because I feel like usually when we see teams from the NFC East, they're usually sneaking into the playoffs, or faltering in the second round. So
It is.
um,
Hey, that's fair.
it would be
That's
good
fair.
to see you guys dominate and just see you guys beat up on each other, make it through the playoffs. I guess that adds a whole lot more to bragging rights too.
Yeah. Whew. Man,
Very
it
true.
could. Yeah, it could be a very historic year. We could have 2 NFC East teams, going into the Super Bowl, and I don't know, who knows? We got 2 teams that could potentially be in the NFC Championship game, and one of the, so we could literally have an NFC East, winner, actually represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So, hey, that's possible.
I think San Francisco would have a little something to say about that, but
Yeah.
you
And,
know,
Anything is possible.
and one thing, cool. If y'all get to Arizona, y'all and Buffalo get there, y'all better beat them, cause we'd
listen,
all beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. So I mean, I ain't gonna put the
listen.
cart before the horse, but I'm just saying, I ain't putting
It's
the
a
cart before
different
the horse.
time.
Cool.
It's different
I'm gonna
times.
But
say
hey,
I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna
yeah,
move on to the next matchup. But I'm gonna say this: no disrespect to the AFC, which means I'm
yeah,
gonna disrespect them. You know how that goes.
for sure.
I don't care who come out of there. If you
Oh, we got
playing
some
my
heavy
birds on the other
hitters.
side, I don't care. If you playing
Oh,
my Eagles in the Super Bowl, your top 2 wide receivers, they're not getting off. You better hope your third wide receiver can give you a $150 and 2 touchdowns.
we're gonna send the
Your running
Chargers
game,
after y'all.
your running game, it's not going to be what it is against these other teams. It's going to get shut down a lot more. So if you coming for the Kings, if we get there, we not taking off that crown.
Oh
I'm
man,
gonna put it like that. We're undefeated for a reason. I don't care about who we done played and all that.
we'll see.
Everybody that stepped up then got laid down.
We'll
And
see.
that's gonna continue this week, and that's gonna continue on until it doesn't.
I'll give you that one for this week for sure.
And I'm just gonna say it like that. Notice I put the caveat:
No,
if we make it, not when we make it, but if we make it, because you gotta get there first. You can't count the chicken before you get the egg, so we gotta have the egg first.
I
Yes,
just want a good Super Bowl,
cart before the
man.
horse.
I
Oh, if
just
we in
want
there,
to.
it's a good Super Bowl. I just want to let you know that if we in there, it's a good Super Bowl.
I just want something interesting. We'll need players
Well,
getting hurt first quarter, second quarter, and shit.
hey man, if you're tough enough to get there, but not tough enough to handle that power, I mean, it happens. It happens. But I'm not gonna mess around any longer, guys. All right, Couch Coach, appreciate you coming on, man. Love to have you on every week. Um, good luck, man. You guys are not on bye next week, right?
Not, dude, we ain't got a bad to December the 11th. We ain't got a bad to
Okay,
week
so y'all.
14, bro.
Okay,
Week
so y'all got
11.
late by. Yeah,
Bro,
but
we
yeah.
got a week 2 before Christmas.
Well, good luck, man. Make sure you hop in the comments. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Sir.
Appreciate you having you on, man.
All right, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
No doubt. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Next, we're gonna have a new member to the fam, Dylan Reed. He's gonna be covering the Seattle Seahawks for us, the mighty Seahawks. And Dylan, man, welcome to the show, and also congratulations. Seattle is performing
Rolling.
way past my
Yeah.
expectations. Much props to your team for that, man.
Yeah, it's a lot surprising going into the season. Trading like your franchise quarterback, kind of get a little like indifferent. I was kind of hopeful with the rushing game. I expected Chris Carson to retire. Like all the rumors of that happening were not too shocking to me. So when he did, it wasn't something shocking. Drafting Kenneth Walker was something I found interesting, but something I also wasn't totally upset about. Pete Carroll loves his rushing game, so getting Kenneth Walker was something I thought might have been good, especially with Rashad Penny's injury history, like we've seen before. So now that he's again injured, picking up Kenneth Walker seems to be like an amazing pick for Seattle, and he's been doing great. He's been rushing really well. He's killing it right now. Yeah, I mean, being 5-3 is something I didn't expect at this point, especially being first in the NFC West. You expected like the Rams to still be good, the 49ers to be better, even the Cardinals, for example. And now being week 9, week 8, so Seattle's about to be 5-3, maybe 6-3. We got a game against Arizona coming up. It's crazy to think. I didn't expect Geno Smith was going to lead us this way. Going into the offseason, it was who's going to start, Geno Smith, Drew Lock, and it was something that was tossed up in the air. Then when Geno became the starter, it was like, okay, here's what we're going with. It's Geno time, and he's been crushing it. I mean, he's been very accurate with the ball.
They wrote him off, and he ain't right back.
He didn't write back. I mean, Geno Smith is killing
man.
it. He's killing it right now. And as a Seattle fan, I love it. I didn't have super high expectations. And when you don't really have high expectations and your team starts to crush it and kill it, you start to enjoy it more. I've been loving this Seattle team. Of course, we have our problems on the defensive end, but our offensive just killing it right now. I mean, I like it. The team seems like they're having a lot more fun than what they did when Russell Wilson was behind the helm. Seems like everyone's just more excited. It seems like it's a good feel. People are stepping up. We drafted an amazing rookie class this year. 2 good rookie quarterbacks and Tariq Woolen, who's killing it, getting interceptions. And then you have Kobe Bryant, who's also been struggling here and there, but also he's been very reliable, especially on the fumbles end. Got Jamal Adams, who was out. Didn't really expect much out of him, especially with his injury history with the Jets. It kind of sucks, but we have had Ryan Neal, who's been stepping up big for us, and it's good. It's good to see the Seattle team too, and especially with us getting all that draft capital back from the Russell Wilson trade too, and being fairly decent at a 5-3 record. It just makes my expectations even higher for us. I'm excited.
Definitely, man. And I always wanted to say this, but I never remember to say it. Dylan has one of those voices that's perfect for calling a game, right? He just sounds like he could call a game with no problem, even if he didn't know what he was talking about, right? Just listen to a talk, you'd be like, okay, he probably knows what he talks about. So I always wanted to say that because I've been on a couple of different things with Dylan, and Dylan has a great sportcaster voice. It's he's been blessed with one of those sportscaster voices, man. I love it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. Now, Dylan, talking about this matchup, what do you think that you guys could do in order to get the victory? And what do you think Arizona can do in order to win this game?
So one thing I think Seattle needs to do is we can't go with the same game plan we did against our first game against Arizona. We won that first game. I'm pretty sure it was 19-9. It was 19-9. The one reason we can't run that same game plan anymore is because they didn't have DeAndre Hopkins before the first time we played them. Now they do. It's a little bit different than what it was the first time. DeAndre Hopkins has obviously been a big focal point of this Cardinals offense since he's been back. His first 2 games, he's been killing it. 23 receptions, over 200 yards. I read something that he was on pace for over 100 receptions and 1,400 yards this season, even missing those first 6 games. So it's crazy to think. We need to make sure that we cover DeAndre Hopkins, but we can't let the other offensive weapons totally fly. One reason that Arizona was so good last year is because when teams would cover DeAndre Hopkins, you'd have someone like Rondale Moore get open. You'd have someone like AJ Green get open. You'd have Christian Kirk get open. You'd have all these different offensive weapons who would get open because people would focus on DeAndre Hopkins. We can't get too lax in that because Rondale Moore had a great week last week. So did DeAndre Hopkins. So we got to make sure that we can't let Arizona just get comfortable on the offensive end and just rip to all their offensive weapons, but we also can't get too comfortable. It's going to be a big test for 2 rookie cornerbacks, especially Tariq Woolen, who's probably going to be matched up against DeAndre Hopkins a lot this game. I imagine they'll probably use Sidney Jones a little bit more, especially with DeAndre Hopkins being the caliber of a wide receiver that he is. But we'll see. I mean, what Arizona needs to do is Seattle's not super great defensively. I mean, that's kind of been our biggest thing this season is Seattle has a great offense, but what they lack is any great defense. Of course, we've been having great players. Uchenna Nwosu has been a great offseason addition, very underrated offseason addition. He's been killing it, 5 sacks on the season. But what they need to do, what Arizona needs to do to win is just you gotta score on opportunities you have against the Seattle defense. You can't let 3-and-outs go. You can't let the Seattle defense get turnovers because this isn't a great defense. You can score on this defense. It's proven, and that's one thing that they lacked last time. Now you have DeAndre Hopkins, and that changes the whole thing. I think Arizona just needs to just try to get comfortable, air it out, get comfortable, just try to get a good balanced attack, even if that means rushing more with Kyler Murray. Like Seattle struggles when you get comfortable in offensive drives. Seattle struggles defensively. For Arizona to win this, they need to just get comfortable on their offense. Seattle will make their mistakes defensively. It's a very young defensive team, still injury riddled. Like you can expose it, but also on the same time, you can't let Seattle carve you up offensively as well. Like if you get Seattle to take a 3-and-out themselves, you need to make sure you try to score on that offensive drive upcoming. You can't let Seattle get opportunities to get back into this game because they are pretty balanced offensively. Like I said, Kenneth Walker's been killing it, but also Geno Smith has been one of the best accurate quarterbacks in the league, and he has one of the best QBRs in the league, and that's because they are having a great balanced rushing attack, which is able for them to get off to their tight ends. They love using their tight ends. Pete Carroll loves using his tight ends. It's been a big thing for him in Seattle, but also he's getting to DK Metcalf. He's getting to Tyler Lockett, and he's just kind of spreading the ball out very well, and it's a very good offensive drive, good offensive system right now. So if the Cardinals want to win this game, they need to make sure if Seattle does make mistakes, your offense needs to be able to score on those mistakes as well, because you can't let open points go, because Seattle will come back off that.
Very, very true.
Definitely makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. So any last thoughts? I mean, you've been pretty eloquent with everything so far, Dylan, but any last thoughts on your matchup?
I feel like this is a game Seattle could win. Arizona makes their mistakes. I mean, Seattle won this first game pretty comfortably. We just have to stay focused. I mean, Geno Smith's been good because Geno Smith hasn't been making mistakes. When he took over for Russell Wilson last year, he was kind of doing the same thing that he's doing now, but the one problem that he had is he struggled. He could not close out games, and that's why Seattle kind of struggled with Geno Smith last season, is because he could do really good throughout the game, but he would make stupid mistakes. He's not making those mistakes anymore, so if he just keeps on that pace, he'll be good. I feel like this is a good game for us to win, because if we do that, we'll have the series sweep on Arizona. That's a good matchup to have. We would kind of increase our lead, especially with a game that we could win. This should be a winnable game for us. Also, Arizona could win it as well. I could see both matchups, but Seattle should win this game, and if we do, that's going to just even patent that lead anymore. And then being 6-3 is a pretty nice lead, especially going to be 1-2 games, 1.5 games over someone like the 49ers or the Rams, who do. Well, for example, for the 49ers, who do have already a win against us. So kind of increasing that lead so we don't get into a tiebreaker situation would be very nice.
Cool. Well, man, enjoyed having you on tonight. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week, and good luck on your game.
Yep, thank you. You guys have a nice night.
You too, bro.
Bye.
All right, so we got a couple of more games left. So one more for us to talk about here. That's gonna be the Rams versus the Bucks.
Yeah, man. This game, you got like the past 2 Super Bowl winners, both first teams to win at their home turf, win the Super Bowl at home. Well, not Rams went to first, but they both won the Super Bowl at home, and both started this year looking like a shell of themselves. Um, man, Tom Brady's just distracted. He's frustrated when you see him, man. He is yelling at players. He's yelling at refs. He's yelling at everyone. You see why he's getting divorced. I can only imagine when he's home, like during the off season. But anyway, like, man, this is a game you would like circle, years ago. You're like, oh man, Rams, Buccaneers, here we go. And like, kind of feels like, I think we don't know what we're going to get. Because, the Buccaneers are putting up a lot of yards, but they're not putting up a lot of points. The Rams are starting to find stuff outside of Cooper Kupp, but not really. There's really nothing much. Their running game, their running back by committee is not doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's... Man, but at the same time, like, Tampa Bay's been losing these games. You expect them to win. So I want to say Tampa Bay, bro, but I don't know. Like, I think the Rams might come and pull it out.
So for me, this is one of those games where you just like, man, I have no clue. Because like you said, Tampa Bay has a plethora, a multitude of issues going on. I think that Tom Brady's losing the team. You're yelling every week. You're acting the fool. People don't respond to that. You're not on a team with a bunch of rookies. You're on a team with a lot of veteran guys. They don't respond well to that.
That are playing well. It's not like they're not playing well.
And when you're throwing the ball and the receiver's going one way and you're going the other way, and this is happening with every receiver, I find it hard that it's every receiver's fault. I'm starting to look at it like, maybe that's you, Mr. Brady.
Quarterbacks have retired sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, the Rams offense is missing in action. That's true. This is some valid points that's getting made. But I think, too, you have different issues on both teams. So you've got two teams that could go out here and really stink it up. The question is, who do we think is going to stink it up enough to lose? I say this. I'm going to pick the Rams.
To lose?
I'm going to pick the Rams, not to win. I'm going to pick the Rams to win. And I'm going to pick them to win because I don't think either one of these defenses are playing anywhere up to where they are at. But I think the Rams have been a little bit better offensively. And that's what I think is going to win this game. I think injuries are piling up for the Bucs. Brady's personal problems, whether you want to acknowledge that or not, that's part of, I think, what we've seen happening with him. It's a lot that's not going right for the Bucs, and I don't feel like it's going to fix itself in a day. I don't think it's going to fix itself in a week. I think it's going to take some time. I think we're going to be in one of those situations where it's just going to be ugly for a while for them. The comment here is I think Brady and the boys win because even hurt, the offense still has better pieces. I agree
with that.
So, see, pieces are one thing, but how those pieces are being used and maximized is another thing. Now, if you come out and tell me Cooper Kupp's not playing, then I'm going to go with you. But if Cooper Kupp's playing, I'm going to take the Rams. I'll take the Rams with Kupp over the Bucs and their weapons.
What? You're going to take Kupp over Evans?
I'll take Kupp over Evans, yes, I will. Because Evans shows up. Yes, I will. Because Godwin hasn't showed up big at all this season.
Evans has been crushing this. What has Evans been averaging, man?
Evans been up and down. I have him in fantasy. He's been up and down. He's had some really good weeks. He's had some weeks where I wanted to curse him and drop him. So there's been no consistency.
Kupp is number one, but that's because that's the only person Matt Stafford can throw it to. You shut him down. That's it.
Man. He's been getting the ball to Higbee. He's been getting the ball to Higbee some too. And they have another
that young receiver. Yeah,
that
young
they've been throwing the ball to as well. And he's got Van Jefferson back. Maybe he'll throw him a couple of balls. He knows him. Yeah. So I just feel like, the Rams have a little bit more from what they've been able to do this year. Even though we know where the ball's going, they've still been able to put up points. And they could look pedestrian. And I'm not saying they don't look pedestrian. I'm just saying Tampa Bay cannot make plays when they need to, and they can't stop anybody on defense. So if you can't
Mm-hmm.
stop anybody on defense and you can't outscore them, how do you expect to win games? That's why they're not winning games. That's what I see when I look at Tampa Bay, and I enjoy it because I enjoy seeing Tom Brady in his state. It makes me happy. I still do not appreciate the fact that he cheated and stole the Super Bowl from my Eagles, and I will not let it go ever because I am a petty Eagles fan, and that's how we roll. So I enjoy seeing Tom Brady in his current state. He's the problem. And as long as he keeps throwing the ball to the wrong places, arguing with everybody, and being a petulant child on the sidelines, they're not going to be able to get their chemistry back. That means they're not going to be able to score enough points. Their defense can't pull it out for them every week against decent and better teams. I think the Rams are decent because Cooper Kupp's going to go off like he does every week if he plays. Now, again, to your point, those that don't believe Cooper Kupp's enough, they definitely don't have enough without him. If he plays and he can make it through the game, I think they're good. If he doesn't play, we clearly know what's going to happen. The Rams go from being a team that can at least compete and probably do better all around against the Bucks to a worse team, and they lose.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Doesn't make it right, but that's how I feel about that particular matchup.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
So now we're going to move on here, ladies and gentlemen, with one of our guys that is definitely on with us every week. Brings it when he comes and has fun with it. So I love it, man. And that's going to be Mike Patton. Mike, what's going on, man?
What's up, bro? I can barely see you.
Sorry, I got a little glare. I kind of dropped my phone, so it got a nice little crack in it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there before too, bro.
What can you do about it, right?
Keep
I
going.
don't know. Yeah.
There we go. Is that better now? Is that better now?
Yeah, it's better. It's definitely better.
Cool.
So,
All
Mike,
right.
man, talk to us about this matchup with the Chiefs, man. What can the Titans do to get this dub? And then after that, man, I'm gonna turn it over to Sid and let him pick your brain a little bit.
Well, before the game, they need to go to church and pray a couple different times. Especially need to put holy water over the defensive backfield because they can't tend to give up big plays, especially if Caleb Farley's back there. But on a serious tip, what I will say is they will to win the game. Of course, going to have to control the game with run the football with Derrick Henry. Gonna have to get a few good conversions on first down, on third down conversions, control that. And then also, the one thing about the Titans that they do well that nobody talks about, they get pressure with 4 people. They don't have to drop, they don't have to blitz you or do anything like that because you have Jeffrey Simmons, Nico Autry, you got Bud Dupree up there. You got all those guys up there that can bring pressure and not have to rush anybody. So they can drop 8 back can drop 7 back if they need to. And then, be able to do those different things and make things a little bit more difficult and make Patrick Mahomes have to work the field. But, of course, that is easier said than done. But, I know the world is definitely not picking the Titans to win this game, which that's another thing. The Titans always seem to play their best in games where no one thinks they're going to win. They haven't won a game this year yet that people thought they were going to lose. That everyone thought they were going to lose because the Bucks, the Bills game, everyone thought they were going to lose and they got whooped. They haven't won. But they usually every year they win 1 or 2 games where no one thinks they're going to win. This could potentially be it. Potentially, because a lot of things have to go their way.
Well, I mean, CBS has them winning. They say if Ryan Tannehill plays, the Titans win 27-24. If Malik Willis plays, the Chiefs win 24-20. So I asked you, I got a question for you. Who do you want to see out there then? Do you want to see Ryan Tannehill or do you want to see what you got in the future?
Well, as far as right now, I'd rather see Ryan Tannehill out there. That doesn't mean I don't like Malik Willis. No, he in the game against the Houston Texans, he didn't throw the ball but 10 times because they were just running the ball. They basically were averaging 7 yards a carry against the Texans.
That's
So
what they
I
got to
mean,
do.
they almost had two backs that had over 100 yards. Basically, they had Derrick Henry with 219, and then they had their backup running back at 83 yards rushing. So to me, I'd rather see Ryan Tannehill out there because it does expand the passing game. I will say that Malik is not terrible in the passing game. I'm not trying to disparage Malik at all. Just the thing is, he still has to continue to grow and learn as the quarterback and learn how to read defenses just a little bit more. I know not read defense per se, but go through his progressions faster, I should say. Not that he's not a bad quarterback. He's definitely progressed from when he first got with the Titans to where he is now. But he just has to learn to kind of go through his progressions just a little bit faster. And when that happens, then I think it'll be time for him to be the starting quarterback, which I think he'll be the starting quarterback in 2023. But that's just my thoughts.
Okay. What do you think the Chiefs can do to slow down King Henry?
Well, they definitely could aggressively attack the line of scrimmage, meaning Nick Bolton definitely's got to be in the gaps. You got Willie Gay. Nick Bolton and Willie Gay, those two guys are going to be huge when it comes to stopping the run of this game. And they've been pretty solid at doing that. If they're able to fill those gaps and kind of stuff the line of scrimmage, then it puts the game on Ryan Tannehill and a bunch of receivers that, not just be quite frank, nobody really respects. So that'll be an interesting matchup. However, I will say one thing. The tight end matchup could be pretty interesting because you have Austin Hooper, who started to play well the last couple of games, and you have rookie 𝐿 from Maryland. And he actually has been playing well going into his eighth, ninth game?
Right. Let's see, y'all.
It's
I
eighth
think
game.
it's ninth. Y'all had your bye already?
Yeah, they had
Yeah,
bye
so it's
already.
eighth, yeah. Yeah, the buys are confusing me a little bit, man. It's thrown off with this extra week, so it's a little crazy for me. But I'm still getting used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Totally understand, man. Totally understand. But yeah.
Well, shoot. Cool, you got anything?
I just have one thing. So, Mike, you're playing the Chiefs. What is the path to victory for the Titans? What is the path to victory?
Control the clock, run the football. Time possession is going to be huge because you want to limit the possessions that Patrick Mahomes is on the football field. Also, when Patrick Mahomes is on the football field, you want to make him have to matriculate the football down the field. Keep everything in front of you. Make them make more plays to actually score. Because if you do that, then you're opening yourself up to potentially him making that mistake and maybe a Kevin Byard with the interception or David Long with the interception or something of that nature. And also, you got to have a couple big plays, whether it be on offense, defense, special teams. You got to have a couple big plays to kind of turn momentum your way. That's the keys.
Okay.
It definitely makes sense to me. As always, man, Mike, always love having you on, man. Appreciate you for hopping on for sure.
No problem, man. No problem at all. And boy, oh boy, your Eagles are looking good, man. But I will tell you, I would pay to see a matchup between them and the 49ers in the playoffs. Woo!
Well, hey, man.
Physical football. I'd love it.
We both want to get to the Super Bowl. I feel like at some point, unless somebody slips up, it looks like we're on a collision course. And as an Eagles fan, I will say, as I've said several times, we want all the smoke from everyone. Bring the smoke.
Okay. Be careful what
If
you
you
wish
got
for
it,
with that team.
bring it.
Woo. Careful what you wish for with that team. They're getting healthy.
Yeah.
They're getting
Here's
healthy
the
down the
thing,
stretch
man.
now too.
Here's the thing, man. Be careful what you wish for when you play the Eagles. We talking about everybody else. I mean, look at what AJ Brown out there doing, right? Then the next week,
I see him.
you come out there, Devontae Smith is giving it to the people. You come out there the next week, Miles Sanders giving it to the people. Be prepared what you wish for when you playing against the Philadelphia Eagles too.
Oh, I hear you. But
that's all I'm saying.
I've got to say that would be a matchup I would definitely love to see, and I want to see this year.
That would be fun.
Definitely.
Like win or lose, it'd be fun because it would be a good matchup. Obviously
Physical football. Woo.
Yeah, obviously I want to win. I want to win every game. but I know you can't win every game, or at least that's what people say. But
I'm just
I
trying to
want
see
to
who's
win
going
every
to check.
game.
See, I just want to see who's going to check. Who's going to check Mr. McCaffrey when him and Debo and all of them are doing the misty. Woo! Just you can create so many mismatches with what they have. Oh,
Who you guarding?
good gracious.
Yeah,
Ooh.
see, I feel what you're saying, right? But at the same reversal of that, I mean, who's guarding Miles Sanders? I mean,
I
he's not
hear you.
just going to lay down and be
But
like, he's not
but
going to lay down and be like, oh no.
you also forget that Jimmy Ward is still a pretty talented safety that did play corner, so he can't go.
Well, he can. And we got this dude, 𝐲𝐶 you may not know of. He's got interceptions in the past
I
3
know
games.
him.
A lot of big
Oh, I know
plays.
him. I know him,
And
but I don't think he can take CMC on.
he
I
used to
don't
be a
think he can
corner
take
as
CMC.
well.
Oh, I know.
You
I
know?
remember him from his Florida days.
Yeah. And the thing is, man, it's planning. Now, here's where I would be concerned as an Eagles person is the defensive play calling. Now, that's where I would be concerned. You know, if we're talking the matchup, that's where the concern comes in for me. You know what I'm saying? Is we're allowing because I would say with the play calling, I feel like they may have the edge because DeMeco Ryans I think is a better play call than my defensive coordinator.
Gannon.
Yeah, than Gannon. Gannon's not horrible, but there's plays where you're like, why are we doing this?
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's a distinct advantage as far as play calling. Offensively, I think we can call as good of a game. I think Jalen Hurts is a lot better of a quarterback than Jimmy G.
Well, we know that.
think-
We know that.
Yeah,
I mean, come
there's
on.
no
No.
competition.
But let's look at the weapons. Wide receivers, we talk about IU. You know, we talk about
Ayuk and Debo.
Debo, right?
Then
Yeah,
you
we talk
got
about Ayuk and Debo. You look on the
you
other
got
side.
Kittle.
You look on the
You
other
got-
side, though. Let's stay position.
know.
Look on the other side. You got Devontae Smith. You got AJ Brown. You got Quez Watkins. You got Pascal who can make catches, right?
Has
Then
Pascal
we
even
talk
played
about
very much this year?
he has. So Pascal has been playing a role that's very essential to success. He's been the guy that's clearing out, doing the little bumps, letting Devontae Smith get open, letting AJ Brown get open, you know, blocking. He's been doing the things that don't necessarily show up on a stat sheet, but that help a team be successful. And he's been flourishing in that role for us.
So he's been doing the
So-
same things Juwan Jennings been doing, basically, for the
Yes,
the
he has.
49ers.
Yes,
Basically.
he has.
So they're the same guy, except for Juwan's younger and bigger. That's the only difference.
I think Pascal might be a better blocker, but yeah.
Yeah, Juwan's from my area of town, so that's why I know Juwan.
Yeah. And then when you look at tight end, you got Kittle. You know, he's obviously one of the arguably the 3 best tight ends in the NFL. I say arguably because you can argue the order. But don't sleep on Dallas Goedert. He's had some big games for the Philadelphia Eagles as well. So what I'm saying, when you start to look
Yeah,
at
but
these,
Kittle likes to block though. Kittle's main
one
thing
guy,
is blocking.
one guy you didn't mention. One guy we both didn't mention. You didn't mention the fullback for the 49ers. They can line up everywhere. Line up in the slot. Line up at fullback. Line up at tight end. Use check.
You check.
no, we didn't
Use
mention
check. You
use
can
check.
put that dude anywhere.
You can put him anywhere. That's absolutely correct.
Yes. I mean, it's just nuts the amount of versatility the 49ers have offensively. Just the bad thing is Trey Lance is not here to benefit off all this. Now you got Jimmy G and hoping he don't make a mistake, basically.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it'll be good if it happens, but again, they both have to get there, and that's something that you have to kind of look at and be like, is that really going to happen? 9 times out of 10, if that's who's supposed to be the best, a lot of times it doesn't happen, right? Somebody doesn't make it there. But if it
That's
does
true.
happen,
That's
it would have to be in the playoffs. And if it does happen, I would be excited to watch it. And when we win, I would be very boisterous in my celebrations and telling all the people who doubted us that no one likes us and we don't care.
It's not doubt. It's just that it'll be.
That's the way the 49ers feel. Nobody likes them and they don't care.
Yeah.
That's the way they feel.
Yeah. So,
But no,
yeah,
man, I don't mean to
it's
talk
great.
your head off, man. I know.
Oh, no, you're good.
You're
You're good. You're good, man. You're good. So appreciate you, man. Again, good luck next week, and good luck this week, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're gonna head over to our closer matchup of the week this week. We've got Mr. Joseph Jenkins.
I just want to
Uh,
say a great shout out to former Ravens legend 𝐿 Good job.
we didn't hear you. What did you say?
I was saying great shout out to the Ravens legend 𝐿 You're welcome,
Hey
Sam.
man.
You're welcome.
Hey. Well, man, San Francisco's been benefiting off a lot of people from other teams here lately. So I'm sure they appreciate the love. Um, so to hop back on track, what can the Ravens do to get a win? And by the way, Lamar, I just want to say I need you to give me about 20 more yards this week, sir, so we can get into them bonuses in fantasy, sir.
Huh.
Good game, but about 20 more yards is what a brother needs. Look out for me. I believe in you. I traded for you. Look out for me.
We'll see. We'll see. At this point, the Ravens just need to get back to their basics. Look, the best thing to happen to Lamar is not having Mark Andrews out there. Like, I have been screaming for weeks to use Devin Duvernay. And about time every time you use Devin Duvernay, he makes plays. And I think he's one of the most dangerous players on the field. You just got to get the ball. Against the Saints, I think I'm a firm believer in, because I know how my run game has gone against some of the best run defense. I think we just stay the course, run the football, hit the big play to Duvernay. Bateman's going to be out for like a few weeks, so I think with that foot still bothering him. Andrews may still play, but we have talent to win this game. We have the talent to beat. We know Andy Dalton. We've known him all his entire life in pretty much the NFL. We know his tendencies. We know what to expect from him. He's not on nowhere near close to the same talent level of a team as he used to be when he was on Cincinnati, when he had A.J. Green in his prime. He may have 𝐿𝐴, but now that we have Roquan Smith in the middle now, moving Patrick inside to the weak side, where he can be an effective blitzer and a run support guy, I'm ready to see that defense get instantly better, because we haven't had a true signal caller that can match up against opposing offenses in a very long time. Inside linebacker has been a weakness of the Baltimore Ravens defense, even during the 2019 season. So with this game, stay our course, run the football. Gus Edwards got his legs down. You really can't stop Gus. Gus is so dang big. The linemen are playing well. Ronnie Stanley looks great. People don't talk about the fact. Oh, Ronnie Stanley just looks amazing. Tyler Linderbaum, the rookie, has not given up a sack this year. Looks like arguably the best rookie center in the game right now. Just stay the course. I don't think New Orleans has what it takes to really beat us with the way we're starting to form ourselves now.
Okay. Now, on the other hand, this New Orleans team, we don't know who's going to be the quarterback this week. We never know ahead of time because we don't find out till like Sunday morning. Uh, but what do you think New Orleans can do to come out of this game with a victory?
I'm going to temper my confidence and actually give an objective answer, because I don't think there's anything that's going to be enough to help them, because I think they're so a little bit outmatched. But if I have to temper it, I would sit there and say 𝐿𝐴 would have to have a game of his life, honestly.
Okay.
Because the one person on that offense that can affect the game, affect us in both the passing game and the rushing attack. He's the only person. They have that rookie, Olave, I believe his name or whatever.
Olave, yeah.
Olave, but it's you can try Taysom Hill, but we have Lamar. So we're used to you using a quarterback to using like jet sweeps or, quarterback draws or design runs. We've seen that every single day in practice. We know how to defend about that. And the Ravens, despite all of its issues on defense, have been playing much better this week than last time. So if 𝐿𝐴 gets off and has like over 150, 175 yards of scrimmage, That is their best chance to win this game. That's their best chance. I don't see them having so much success without him going off. I had to give you
Makes
something.
sense.
I wasn't going
Makes
to.
sense.
I had to give you some.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So also, if let's say Jameis plays, right? We're assuming, Dalton, we know what's going on with Dalton. He's throwing pick sixes left and right. Good game, bad game, bad game, bad. We don't know. But let's say, that for the sake of argument, Jameis is able to actually play this week. So if Jameis is able to get out and play in the game this week, do you feel like that makes a difference as to how you approach the game, how you prepare for the game, or does it really not matter who the quarterback is? It's just more so you guys executing the way that you need to, especially with your big pickup that you made this week.
Just execute it, because I think that big pickup wholeheartedly. And I think with James, I am a fan. But since he's been with the Saints, more refined, last turnover prototype quarterback. But the Ravens have went from a bend and break defense to really just bending and not breaking, because we still force turnovers. Aside from you guys, we have forced the most turnovers in the league at 15, with 8 interceptions, fumble force. So it's really a defense that gives us a ton of yards, but they clamp down when they need to clamp down. And if you notice in any of the games the Ravens have had over the course, they never get out of it. There's never a game you can look at it where the Ravens are sitting there like, oh my God, they have no chance to come back and win this game. But with this game right here, with Jameis out there, his big arm is going to be big. Olave might have a better game, but I like my secondary. Honestly, Marlon has actually played much better this year than he did last year. But I would say that it would be some sweating moments, because Jameis will get like a 30 or 40-yard reception to pass to like Olave or their tight end. I forgot, Juwan Johnson, I think is his name, or whatever. So it would make a difference, but at the same time, you can get Jameis in his own way and use that against him to win the game.
Makes sense. And does it feel like this? Do you feel like that's the same with Dalton?
So with Dalton,
essentially, both of them are guys that turn the ball over a lot.
But Dalton is more. Dalton will dink and dunk it if he has to get down the field. He's not going to always be trying to big play like that. Dalton has always been that cerebral. Not to point, but somewhat. I mean, when you think about it, the Ravens can run the football. Gus Edwards is averaging almost 5 to 6 yards a carry. They have decent weapons. Devin Duvernay is there, and then they have Isaiah Likely, our secondary, a rookie tight end who had himself a good game. But with the Saints and Andy Dalton has no problem working 10 to 15 yards down the field, and he loves using his tight ends against the Ravens. The difference is there's no A.J. Green to save this man like A.J. Green had done pretty much the entire time Andy Dalton was there. I can't tell you how many times. I love A.J. Green, but if I came across him, I'd punch him in his chest and like, bruh, you don't realize how many times you made that dude look so good because you killed us. You absolutely killed us. It was a nightmare. I called your touchdowns and you had them. He don't got that. Olave's a good young rookie, but I think they're going to be in a situation where they're going to be down by 2 or 3 scores and have to will their way back. But I think the Ravens, and if you look at some of the games and look at some of the commentary afterwards, they have had it out with each other. They've had their players-only meetings. They've ran into it across the board to each other, and they depend on each other when it gets down, when they're like, offense starts coming back. Like if Andy Dalton starts chucking it up and getting like 1 or 2 scores, it becomes a 1-score game. I think the Ravens are past those woes against the Buffaloes, the Miamis, and the other teams.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Well, look, man, appreciate you hopping on with us at the end. I know it's the end, but still definitely recommend hopping on YouTube, letting everybody know where they can find you. So that way, when people are seeing the replay, they can still
You
catch
better,
you.
you better than me. I ain't gonna lie to you because I was on my way to sleep. I was like, oh snap! Wait, I gotta get up. The game, the show, the show. Oh,
Hey,
But
woo,
yeah,
man.
man. So we'll see you next week. Good luck on your
Hopefully,
game this week.
yes. Hopefully with the
And
victory.
absolutely, I want a victory every week. We could be like 14 though. I'm like, we need to win like 10 more games.
right?
So I have seen this and I have lived it. Your season is so similar to what we went through in 2019. I have seen it. I've watched you guys play. I've seen how you guys go. And I said it when Jalen was drafted with us, was drafted with y'all. And I started hearing things that they were saying about him. I was like, this is similar to what I'm saying. So seeing y'all go through this now in his second year. Remember, Lamar won his MVP in his second year.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for y'all. I see so much similarities with y'all. I just hope y'all don't peak too early because we
Yeah.
peaked early, and that's why we were able to get beat by Tennessee in the end. We peaked
Yeah.
way too.
Truthfully, to be honest with you, man, I haven't been impressed with like most of our games. So I feel like we definitely haven't played up to our potential in pretty much any game. So I feel good about that because there's a lot of room for improvement.
And I wanted to say, Mr. Green, I was wondering why he's so quiet, but I saw the Broncos jersey, so I kind of get it.
There you
I
go.
get it.
Hey, man,
We
it's
see you
still Broncos country. It's still orange and blue everywhere you go.
We see you guys in a few anyway. I think we come to Denver in a couple
Yeah.
weeks.
We looking at next season. We looking at next season right now.
Rid of players. You can let up John Simmons. He don't need to be with y'all no more. Send him right on over to somebody else, like in Baltimore. Since y'all
No,
just
it's too late. It's too late for the season now, sir.
That's right. I know. So release them and we'll pick them up.
Yeah, I think if they release him, I don't think you'd be the only team that would be
Right. We ain't
yeah.
sorry. But
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it. And I thank you guys for letting me be on. It's what better way to end it with the black and purple?
Hey.
I'm feeling happy about that.
You guys have a great week, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode of the NFL Matchup Madness. Hopefully, my complete voice will be back by then, not just 1/3. Any last words said?
Oh man, hopefully I'm coming back feeling good, next week too. But I'm looking forward to this weekend. It looks like it's some really good matchups, man. Finally getting some exciting football. I feel like in the beginning there was a few games that were just like, we were all ready to fall asleep, and now teams are starting to fall into place. So I'm looking forward to this weekend for sure, especially starting with Thursday night. And I'm looking forward to this Thursday night because it looks like it's going to be worth watching. So we'll see.
Go Birds.
Hey.
All right, guys. Again, appreciate it. Make sure you guys share the show with your friends. Love all the comments. Love all the watches. Everybody that watches the replay. Much love for y'all as well. Holla at us.
Hey.